Hey, Dream Builders, welcome back to another episode of the Dream Design Podcast with Amy Lee. I'm your host, Amy Lee Westervelt, and today I have an awesome guest. You guys, I've been watching this lady from afar on Facebook, watching all of the amazing magical things she's been doing. She did a really cool workshop recently that I was watching, and she's just amazing. So today I have Alessandra Caprice with me. She's an energetic business mastery coach, and I can't wait to dig in with her. So welcome, Alessandra, to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for you to be here. So tell me, how does one become an energetic business mastery coach?
Well, it's been quite the journey. I'll tell you that transparently. My background is a therapist. So I was a therapist for a while. And then I moved online as a life coach when I wanted more freedom for my family. I had a private practice, but I had been fully booked. And I was like, I thought this is what I wanted, but it's not exactly what I wanted. So I went online and started my online business about 6 years ago. I just saw my first Facebook Live popped up yesterday. It was really fun. It was like, oh, you're so sweet. So I started off as a life coach, then moved into business coaching, and have been in business coaching for the past, really business strategy, for the last 4 years. And then in the last year or so is when the energetics started coming in a lot more. And that was when I had been called to breathwork. We'll obviously talk a lot more about that later, but breathwork was where I had heard about it and had tried it a little bit, but I just kept getting called to it. And so about a year and a half ago, I became certified in using breathwork and decided that I wanted to kind of be a little bit of a trailblazer. No one's really doing it the way that I do it, but using it in business, right? So combining it with business strategy, with the money work, with the visibility work, with the marketing and sales and all that beautiful business stuff, right? And so combining the two of using breath work to access, not only heal the parts that you need to show up big, and sell and be magnetic, but then also just create the business that is in alignment with your soul, right? And I found that that's not what I had before, right? I had done things because I thought I should do them, or launched this program because I thought I should, and she's doing it, so maybe I should too, right? And so through this modality, through using breathwork for business, I call it money breathwork, being able to really hone in on what it is that you can bring out and how you can stand out amongst all the noise and just be a magnet to money and your ideal clients and the business that just lights you up.
I love that so much. So I have to ask, do you happen to know your human design? And if you do, are you a kind of generator?
I am a generator. Yep. Sacral.
Me too. We're vibing over here with the
Yes.
I feel it's rocking. That's so funny. And what is your profile? Do you know?
2-4.
Oh, okay. My husband's a 2-4. I love that. Okay, great. So, and that also explains why you like to work in your bedroom too, right? Because you like that closed, this is my space. I'm a 5'1", so I very much resonate with that defiance piece. That I'm doing things differently. I love to do things differently myself, so I resonate so much. Okay, so I have a billion things I want to ask you, and the first is, I do breath work. When I say do, I mean I do it for myself. I use the Othership app and stuff like that. I know I'm not certified in it.
Yeah.
And what I find, and I want to know the answer to this because I bet you'll know, I find that when I breathe, I feel like I can't breathe. And I don't understand why, when you're giving yourself more oxygen than you usually do,
yes,
and you're breathing more than you usually do, why you have that desire to stop breathing.
Right.
And so I was wondering if you could explain that to me.
Yes. And it's because when you're breathing in more oxygen than they're used to, what you're also doing is you're breathing out more CO2 than you're used to. And so it literally changes the chemistry in your body. You actually become more alkaline, which is a more open, healthy, vital state that we want to be in. So that's like the chemistry of like, oh, I'm breathing in more oxygen. What's going on? But you're also breathing out more CO2. So it's literally changing that chemistry, right? And so you're breathing very differently than you're used to, right? Like very differently. And so what happens because of this body chemistry change, you start to move out of like your head, like it almost like kind of cuts off that oxygen to your head a little bit. It's not like total because you're not going to like pass out. Although some people have passed out. I never have, but I know that I've heard some people have. But it cuts off from your brain. And so normally your brain is like, stop doing what you're doing. You got all these other things to do. Please go somewhere else. This is right. And I think it's literally because your brain is like, you're unhooking from me. I want to tell you everything to do. You're going into your body, right? And so what happens is you have that initial period.
Panic.
So even me now, after a year and a half of breathing this, I will enter into a breath session. And even now, like I was talking to my husband because my husband is now into breath work because I breathe him and all this amazing stuff. But I go into a breath work and I'm like anxious. I'm like, oh no, how's this going to go or what's going to happen? It's going to be hard, right? And there's this initial period that's about 8 minutes where we're doing that what you're talking about, like bringing in that more oxygen, breathing very differently. It's called over breathing. So you're really just doing way more than you're used to. And it's generally for about 8 to 10 minutes where that period where you're talking about is like, I can't keep doing this. There's no way I can keep breathing like this. And there's a reason for that. It's because we're literally dropping into our subconscious. We're literally dropping into a deeper state of being, right? And meditation takes about 50 minutes to get you to this space. Breath work, the reason why it's so intense, takes you 8. Okay. So that first 8 minutes is literally can be really, really difficult if you're just going for it. Right. And so what I've found, it's so interesting. And I've had so many of the sessions where I've gone in and been like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. I cannot breathe. And I keep breathing. I get to the point, 8 minutes, I'll tell you, like, I always refer to that as like dropping into the portal because around that time is when it gets easier. It's when it like drops you into that subconscious body state where now the breath is like I feel like that whole time is like where you're like alkalizing. It's like loading. I'm here now. You know what I mean? And so it becomes so much easier. Like I have this literal thought by the end of my session, like I could breathe like this all day. Right?
Yeah, I feel like a point where I'm like, am I doing it right anymore? Because it doesn't feel hard anymore. Yeah, and so now I'm like, am I even doing it? Like, am I doing like, because it's just so natural.
It becomes easy. Point. Yep. Yeah. And it's because you've literally.
It becomes easy.
Right.
I said, but it sucks until it becomes easy.
It does. I am always one. It's really funny because I've had clients been like, no, it's not. It's super easy. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a charge for me. Like it feels like
every breath you're like, okay, I'm done. All right, let me just do this one more. Let me just do this one more. Let me just do it. And if you can just do that one more breath, all of a sudden you get to that place and it's like
you walk through a portal and you literally enter into a new place. Like it's like, and so I feel like it's like this loading thing. Well, keep going. And then you drop in to your body, right? And your body can breathe like that all day. Your mind is the thing that's stopping you. This is really uncomfortable. What's going on? This is, what are you doing? You should go get lunch. Like, what's for dinner tonight? Like, it's trying to tell you all the things, right? And so you drop in, and then once you're in your body, which is what, why I love this work so much is because that's where everything lives. That's where all your limiting beliefs and your traumas and everything that's holding you back, that's where it lives. And not even just like limiting beliefs and traumas and all the things that need healing, but also the spaces for expansion, right? The places of like your divine ideas and what's going to come to you in that next program, and your idea for if it's for your family or whatever you're kind of breathing on, right? Everything kind of lives there. And so, I mean, when I first started breathing, before I got certified, I could only go for like 3 or 4 minutes because I'm like, there's no way I can do this. Right. And then when I started breathing and in a more controlled environment where like someone was breathing me and all that, I had more accountability to keep breathing. Now I understand what's on the other side. So I keep going, right? Like, okay, I want to get there. That's where I want to get. I want to get to that little portal place where I can do all the healing and do all the expansion, right? So yeah, I mean, I am always super transparent about that. I'm glad that you brought that up because it is a charge. It feels like you're going up a mountain. And I, at that beginning point, I'm always in my breathworks, like keep going, keep breathing, keep going, keep breathing, right? Like just keep going. And even when I breathe all my own breathworks, and I'm like, thank you. Like I'm like thanking myself over there. Because it can be difficult, but I promise, I mean, you know it. But
you can tell I've really done it, right?
Huh?
You can tell I've really done it. Like,
yes.
I'm not like, oh, breath work, that sounds fun.
No, I know, I love it. And that's one of the common misconceptions about breath work. I mean, breath work can mean so many different things, right? It can mean, yoga breathing. It can mean, slow and steady. It could mean meditation, right? And these are things that I used in my therapy practice for a long time, right? But when I talk about breath work, it's this deep transformational journey that you're going on to become changed by the end of it in whatever way that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always say like release expectations. I mean, even because I do, very targeted breath works on money and sales and business and showing up in visibility, so much stuff comes up that have nothing to do with those topics. And so I just tell my clients, like, just be open to whatever needs to come through here. It's exactly what is meant for you.
That's so good. And I love how you said that with meditation, it takes like 50 minutes, whereas with, breath work, it's only like 8 minutes. As someone who has ADHD and as a generator, right? Like I'm always like, my energy's up here.
Yep.
And it's always vibrating really fast. And so I'm not a person who can sit still for a meditation. Like guided meditations I can handle sometimes, mostly if they're like creative and like, think about this or think about like, I can do that because it's very creative. But when it comes to just sit there and like, think about a tree, like I can't do that. And so with breath work, I'm concentrating and I'm doing something. And so because of that, I think that it just helps me so much more to regulate my nervous system, to kind of get myself back to that homeostasis and really bring myself back to that energetic, baseline, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think we agree that, you're really kind of pioneering this idea of breathwork and money and breathwork and sales. And so like, where do you, or like, how did you come up with this parallel of breathwork and money? And like, how do those two things connect?
Yeah. It's funny because it came to me during a breathwork. The first breathwork I ever did that I went like, I'm going for this. I'm not stopping breathing. I am. And this was like when I decided I was becoming a facilitator, because I had dabbled in it. I was trying and I was like, I can't get, it feels good, but I never dropped in that way, like past that 8 minutes. So it came to me in a breath work it was like the most amazing breath work. I mean, I still can feel that. I mean, because it was my first one, I felt like all the emotions. I mean, everything is available.
This is what they mean.
Yeah. And so it came to me, I've always loved money mindset work. Like I've always been drawn to it. I have, money trauma from growing up. I love talking about money. I love helping people make money. I love helping people heal their relationship with money. And so I've read all the books. I did all the money mindset. I did all the stuff, right? But what I had noticed was, so I got this download, right? And I was like, oh, you're going to do this with money. But I wasn't there yet, right? Like I started getting I started getting trained, and I'm still doing all the money mindset work. And my entrepreneurial journey is very roller coaster-esque. Like I had a lot of success, and then I went down, and then I had a lot of success again, and then I was like on my way down again. And I was like, but I'm doing all the things. Like I'm doing the money mindset work, I'm doing the journaling, I'm reading the books, I'm taking the programs. Like, what is going on? Right. And so as I was doing my breathwork facilitation, I was doing my own breathing and, healing my own stuff. And I wasn't even doing breathwork for business at the time. It was really just my own healing and the things that I wanted. Right. And so I started realizing, as I started seeing my pattern, right? And like so much of money mindset work is like, oh, being aware of what's your stuff and what are you carrying? It's like, okay, well, I'm aware of it. I've been aware of it for like a few years. I'm trying to like rework these thoughts, and I was realizing there was a disconnect, right? Like clearly something wasn't working because for me, I was on this beautiful roller coaster that was, fun, but not what I wanted. Right. And so I had gotten that download and I'm like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? And this was before all my programs came out. This was before I started doing it. I said, I'm going to start doing breath work to heal all my money stuff, because I believe that it's not just in my mind where all this stuff is, which is what mindset work does. It's in my body, because what I was noticing is when I would start getting success, I would start getting big, people would notice me, I would self-sabotage. And which was really my nervous system saying, alert, 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 danger, danger, danger. Something is ahead that is dangerous, right? And for me, I call them the armors of smallness. My armor of smallness was a fear of success. And I still have this today as I continue to get bigger and bigger, which is why I have this modality. So I committed to saying, okay, I'm like, okay, something is going on. I think my body is stopping me. It's not my mind. I've been doing money mindset work for 6 years or 5 years at the time, whatever. And so I started doing this work on my own. And I started seeing results, right? Like magnetizing the right clients, not the wrong clients, right? Started coming up with different ideas, right? Of instead of seeing what so-and-so was doing and being like, well, I can do that too, which was a lot of my own stuff of like, thinking that they're better than me. And so I've got to do it this way, or, it was all my own stuff of like, I see them being successful. Okay, I'm just going to model what they're doing, do it my way, but they're successful, so maybe that'll make me successful. That was kind of my like business strategy. I didn't steal anything from anybody, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, oh, I should do a program on that or whatever. But I started downloading, these other types of programs, and it was really scary at first, right? Like you're just saying, like pioneering this new thing. And a lot of people are like, what is that? What are you talking about? I'm like, this thing is amazing. Come on. Right. So I had to do a lot of my own work, but, that when I started seeing those results, I started using them with my clients. And so I had many clients that I was just coaching with. And when I started bringing in breath work as our main modality, like instead of having coaching sessions, we would do breathwork sessions, and then I would coach between the sessions. Their results started going insane, like them showing up, them getting their own soul aligned programs, getting out of the shoulds, right? Showing up with more confidence. And so I was like, oh, there's something here. And so that's when I started creating more of the group programs. That's when Money Magnet came out, when that was my first my money program. And then I thought Money Magnet was going to be it. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to become known for Money Magnet, breathwork, money. And then that's not the case because now I have programs pretty much for everything. Because they all have their beautiful place as we expand. Right.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. So in terms of like so what you're saying is this particular breath work, and you have a copy of this that you're going to share with the listeners, right?
Mm-hmm.
The money one.
Yep,
let's go ahead and show them that real quick.
Yep.
So here's the link for that one, you guys. So this one, you're saying that you have calibrated a specific breath work that is going to help people with their money mindset, not mindset, but money somatically, their money connection. Is that right?
Right. So like healing their money traumas. I mean, it's money breath work is really the essence of like how you're going to create more money. So we have the pillar of money, like your relationship with money, right? So your money traumas, your money, like I was talking about my roller coaster, that was my money blueprint, right? Like you make a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money. You can make a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money. That was also my blueprint from growing up because my family was millionaires and then we went bankrupt and then we were up again and then we went down again, right? So like clearly that's my money blueprint, right? So money breathwork has like, working with your money. And then we have, visibility, which is our Being Big program, which is all about what I was saying earlier, the armors of smallness and the limiting beliefs that hold us back and activating your voice and expanding into who you are. And then I have my sales program, which is all about the energetics of sales and showing up and selling your offers and being convicted in your offers. And so money breathwork has these main pillars of all about how you're going to be creating that money, right? So, but your relationship with money is first and foremost, right? That's my money magnet program of like really diving into what's been holding you back. I have clients that are like, I'm just so angry at money right now because money's not coming in or money goes out so fast or whatever. Like whatever your blueprint is for money, we rewire that and reprogram that because that's in your body. As much as you can access those thoughts, your thoughts are informed by what your nervous system is comfortable with. And your nervous system might be comfortable with a $0 bank balance, right? Where your head's like, of course I'm not comfortable with that. But your nervous system is like, no, this is safe because if we go any higher, then people are going to want our money or we're going to lose it all or whatever the thought is that, your nervous system is like wired underneath, right? And so money breath work is unique. And yes, it might use the similar breath pattern that everyone uses. You know what I'm saying? Like not everyone, but I use the same breath pattern that I was trained in, other people use, right? But how it's different is its intention. And so I really take you through these phases and a journey. You're talking about, not only is it breath work help you with, because you're focusing on your breath. Now add in the way that I do it. It's a journey, right? Like I take you into these different phases and what we're focusing on. And I combine, which I think is really, really unique because what can happen is even if you're in your money work or your own limiting belief work, you can get stuck in the healing part of things. You can get stuck in like, oh my gosh, all these blocks that I have, right? And really trying to work through them. Now I do that in money breath work. And then I always end with expansion. And so what I find is like, you're either kind of either or in this industry. It's like, I really got to heal, or I'm like focusing on quantum leaping and I'm expanding and I'm doing all the things, right? Whereas the way that I take you on a journey in any of my money breath works is I always go into what needs to be healed, what needs to be released, what needs to be let go of. And then how are you going to expand? What does that get to look like? And then I also end with, what actions are you going to take, right? I feel like so much of energetics is like, ooh, just do the energetics and see what happens. And I'm like, no. How are you going to go bring this into your business? How are you going to go bring this into your life? What are you going to do with it? Right?
I love that. That's so good. And it's so true. You have to integrate that stuff because if you don't, then you just end up in this constant spiral, like you said, of healing. And one of the ways that you do that self-sabotage is you're like, oh, I just made a bunch of money. What can I go invest this in? Right. Yeah. But it's like, that's not always the answer. Sometimes it's like, let's just put this in the pocket until it's time. So I totally get that. Okay, so how does money breathwork support business expansion? Well, how is it different from other modalities? And what would you say to somebody who has never done breathwork before?
Right. So like I was saying, the way that I structure any of my sessions. So I have multiple different types of sessions. I have really short ones that are integrative. They go through a couple different breaths. And then I have the longer transformational ones, but they all have an intention. And so they all go like we have, one in Sales Alchemy called people people love to pay me or send me the link, or I just did this morning, activate the field, which is a really fun one about like activating someone in your field to say yes to your offer. Right. And so very intentional. And I don't see anyone doing anything like that with this. And why this modality versus journaling or versus, I don't know. I'm not super into like tapping or anything like that, but I know that's a modality people use. Why this modality versus others is because it, like I was explaining before, it gets you out of your head. Mm-hmm. When we're in our head, when we're trying to go get visible or we're trying to make more money or put an offer out there.
Especially as generators, we don't want to be in our heads. Like that's a bad place for us.
Right. And I didn't know that. I thought that was before, as I was going through all this journey towards here, where I am now. I thought that was a good place to be because my head's smart, like it's got good ideas. Right. But once I was able to unhook from the generator mind of like over here, go do this, because I mean, I can go. I have a lot of energy, right? Like I can go. But if I'm going in the wrong direction, I'm going to burn out. I'm going to not have the success, which I see a lot of that in my past, right? And so what Money Breathwork has done for me was to get out of all that. I mean, honestly, like the noise, right? The noise and like the industry noise and all the noise, and to really drop into my body and get informed from there, right? So like, say I did a breath work that was about, this morning I did activate the field. And so it was a short one. It was just an integrative. So it's like 10, 12 minutes and I go through different breaths. But that gets me out of my head. And say I'm about to go create a post, or I'm going to put my offer out there. I decided I'm going to be hosting a workshop. I do also do free pop-up kind of workshops very, very often. Right. And so I have a pop-up workshop next week. And off, like I said, every other month or something like that, I kind of do that. But I hadn't put it out there yet. Like I kind of like teased to it. And so it helped me not only like, okay, what should I say about this thing? But I was able to just like, I literally wrote my quick little post within 4 minutes versus like agonizing over what should I say or right? I was able to get out of my head into my body. And now that post is going like comment. I want to be in, I want to, right now, which sometimes when I post in my group, someone might say, yeah. I mean, eventually people see it and they want to come, but like this one decided to just like pop off right away. And I really believe it's because of that energy, right? And I still took action. Like we're not just doing the energetics work and okay, I'm going to see what happens. No, I do that work, get out of my head, let my soul and my heart speak, and it's received, right? Like people can feel that. Like I look at, not even that first Facebook Live that I'm talking about, because she was different because she was just starting out and she was wonderful, she was so pure and sweet. But like I can look at even just Facebook Lives from 2 years ago, before I did all this work, when I was in the shoulds, when I was in my head. And yeah, I still have a lot of energy and I'm still really passionate about what I'm doing, but I watch her and I can feel that the push, the grip, the expectations, like this has to work or else, right? Whereas now when I show up, or even when like my clients show up and when they do this work, there is such an energetic shift. You're still doing the same things. You're still selling. You're still showing up. Maybe you're showing up even more. You're taking up more space. That's my being big. I always talk about like, you don't have to do more. You can just take up more space with what you're already doing. Energetically, people are like, ooh, more magnetized to you, right? I can feel the difference. And then obviously there is a natural uptick in my business, right? Like my business is now keeps growing every single month versus like, what's this month going to look like? I don't know. Okay. Let's see what these clients, okay. I got some clients. Good. We're good this month, right? Like I know I'm good every month, like for the foreseeable future, which it's given me that stability, that security. And honestly, the confidence and the belief in myself, like, okay, all I've got to do is keep following where I'm being guided versus like any of the other noise. And that's what I guide my clients to do. Like, oh, should I do this? Should I do this? I'm like, well, where are you being guided? Like, what has been coming up in your breath work? And as they kind of flesh out what comes up, they are guided to the right things. And then I can help them with the strategy, right? Like, okay, you want to launch that program. Let's talk about that. But it's gotta come from here and not from here. And that's what this money breath work, the way that I have it, the way that I do it, is like very different than, if you were to go on your app and do some breath work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And it's amazing. And that's why I love money breath work, because it gets people doing breath work already. And breath work itself is amazing. And it's going to help you, and it's going to, align your nervous system and, give you all the amazing health benefits. Mm-hmm. But now we're doing business benefits too.
I love that. That's so good. Okay. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to get into your world?
Yeah. So moneybreathwork.com. You can come check out the program for free. And then also Instagram, Alessandra Caprice. And then my Facebook group which is where, I announce a lot of my stuff on Facebook, but my Facebook group, the Big Money Months portal with Alessandra Caprice, that is where I will do a lot of events will actually take place. If they're on Zoom, but sometimes they're on Facebook Live. And so I do them all in my Facebook group. So those are the best places to get a hold of me.
Yay. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for being here today with us, Alessandra. It has been such a pleasure having you. And I know that everybody's going to be racing to your website to grab that freebie and to learn more about breathwork. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the Dream Design Podcast with Amy Lee. Until next time, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you be at peace. Namaste.